Hello everybody and welcome to this week's reflection. Hope that I find you well, and as you may know, we're about to open the church in a couple of weeks' time, which is fantastic, and we once again can meet around the Lord's table. In the meantime, I just ask you to be patient as we work out how the COVID restrictions are going to affect us in many different ways. It's certainly a beautiful place, and it's not quite the same without you here in it. Jesus says to us in this week's Gospel, "Come to me, all you who are weary and are carrying heavy burdens, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light." These words seem so simple, and what stops us from opening our hearts, opening our lives to the Spirit of God that Jesus promised? This step of faith, surrendering to allow Jesus to really care for us, genuinely care for us, is always quite tricky, because as human beings, we like to be independent and we like to think that we can do things on our own. A relationship with God does not mean that you give up, that you just kind of sit back and let God do God's work. It's a collaboration, a cooperation with God, if you like, where we must move towards God as God moves towards us, or as God moves towards us, we move toward God, whatever that may look like for each of us. So this week I would like you to reflect on these words, but also on a story which I came across a few years ago, which I find very reassuring. And it goes like this. An elderly Chinese woman had 2 large pots, each hung on the ends of a pole, which she carried across her neck. One of the pots had a crack in it, while the other was perfect and always delivered a full portion of water. At the end of the long walks from the stream to the house, the cracked pot arrived only half full. For a full 2 years, this went on daily, with the woman bringing home only 1.5 pots of water. Of course, the perfect pot was proud of its accomplishments. But the poor cracked pot was ashamed of its own perfection and miserable that it could only do half of what it had been made to do. After 2 years of what it perceived to be bitter failure, it spoke to the woman one day by the stream. "I am ashamed of myself, because this crack in my side causes water to leak out all the way back to your house." The old woman smiled. "Did you notice that there are flowers on your side of the path, but not on the other pot's side? That's because I have always known about your flaw, so I planted flower seeds on your side of the path. And every day while we walk back, you water them. For 2 years I've been able to pick these beautiful flowers to decorate our table. Without you being just the way you are, there would not be this beauty to grace this house." Each of us has our own unique flaw. But it's these flaws and its cracks that made our lives together so very interesting and rewarding. This week, as you hear Jesus' words, as you walk through the world, I invite you to take each person you think of or see and always look for the good in them, that they too may produce a bouquet of flowers this week in your homes and in your lives. We'll see you in church again soon.